Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, will you please take your seats? And also, a reminder, please silence your cell phones. Thank you.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you to this wonderful museum. Isn't this awesome? Yeah. As together we celebrate liberty and freedom, as we honor two brave and gallant men, Leonard, Giorgio, and Walter Stitt, who some 78 plus years ago left their homes, their families, and those that loved them to undertake in what was defined by General Eisenhower as a great and noble undertaking. I thank you for honoring them with your presence here today. At this time, please rise if you are able, as I call forward the color guard from the American Legion Post 221 in Massillon, Ohio, to present the colors. Gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly remain standing as I introduce Miss Gretchen Boyea as she performs the United States National Anthem, the Star Spangled Banner. Gretchen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of brave?
Gentlemen, you may post the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Thank you, Gretchen, so much for that beautiful performance. And also our honor guard team from Massillon, Ohio, American Legion Post 221. Thank you, boys. I know how busy they are. I'm on an honor guard myself back in Tennessee, and the commander there told me they do about 150 funerals a year, and that's about what our group does, and maybe up to 200 in my area. And we are quite busy. So please support your American Legions and, of course, DAV posts, and also the VFW posts that have honor guards. They need your support, especially now with the gasoline prices being so high. Thank you. Before we progress even further into our program today, I would like to first take a moment of time to remember the servicemen and women who have selflessly served for the cause of liberty and freedom. Please join me in a moment of silence, remembering those who have given that last full measure, which President Lincoln spoke of in his 1863 Gettysburg Address. Thank you. I also want to take a brief moment to honor a particular veteran. I knew Herschel Woody Williams pretty well. He and I were both keynote speakers at the National D-Day Memorial. We both shared the same birthday, and we both shared a love for this great country. As I drove up through West Virginia a couple of days ago, my thoughts turned to Mr. Williams, the last then living Medal of Honor recipient of the Second World War. He passed away about a week before Independence Day. Woody Williams was not only respected as a battlefield hero, but as a man whose compassion for Gold Star's families knew no bounds. He will be missed, but his legacy will live on in the hearts of all who knew him and the communities he touched, including a Gold Star Family Memorial dedicated here in North Canton several years ago. Rest in peace, Woody. And now, friends, allow me to introduce our special guests for this extraordinary program this morning. Monsieur Yannick Tagand, Consul General of the Midwest, Republic of France. In the audience, Monsieur Cedric LaRouge. He is the Honorary Consul of Northern Ohio for the Republic of France. Cedric. Major General Deborah Ashenhurst, Director, Ohio Department of Veteran Services. Mrs. Tammy Puff, Military and Veteran Liaison, Office of Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. Colonel Reed Kimball, United States Army, and also the Education Director here at the Maps Air Museum. Professor Richard M. Berrong from Kent State University. And in the audience today is the Mayor of Wadsworth, Ohio, Robin Limbaugh. Robin? The Mayor of North Canton, Ohio, Steve Wilder. Steve? The Mayor of Greene, and it's the community we're in right now, Gerald Neuerberger. Gerald? Not here. Well, I messed up his name. I'm sorry. It's a hard one to, boy, I don't even know how to pronounce it. But anyway, Gerald, I wish you were here. And of course, the staff and leadership of our hosts, our host here today, the Maps Air Museum. Mr. David Koveski, serving as executive director, and his dedicated staff who have embraced this event from the word go. Thank you, Kim. Where are you? He's here somewhere. There he is in the back. Thank you, Kim. And behind every great man is a great team. And I can tell you the volunteers that are here at the Maps Air Museum are great people, and they make this museum absolutely outstanding. It's wonderful. So thank you, Kim, and thank you, boys and girls. quite a number of women volunteers as well. It certainly, last but not least, the backbone of America. Every veteran present. Gentlemen, if you are a veteran, or ladies, if you are a veteran, please raise your hands. Wow, look at this audience. And a very, very special welcome to our World War II veterans, especially those that have received the French Legion of Honor in the past. And I'm going to go down by age. Infantryman, Master Sergeant Al Klugowitz, 83rd Infantry Division. He's 106 years old. Al? Last time I saw a picture of Al, he was on the back of a motorbike. Chief Radar Operator, Tech Sergeant Albert Casiba, 740th AAA Gun Battalion, and Al is 101 years of age. And Al and I also share the same birthday, just a few years apart. Infantrymen, Private First Class Art Newell, B Company, 260th Infantry Regiment, 65th Infantry Division, and Al's the baby of the group at 96 years of age. And there's one other World War II veteran in the audience. ML, are you here? Did you stay? I think ML might have left. Oh, he's here? Okay, fantastic. Well, ML doesn't have the Legion of Honor, but nevertheless served this great country with pride and distinction. Flight Officer ML Weaver. He was a pilot in a BT-13. He is 97 years of age and a volunteer here at the MAPS Air Museum. And of course, seated to my right, Private First Class Leonard Giorgio. He will turn 99 in August. And Corporal Walter B. Stitt, who will turn 98 in just a mere 2 weeks. How about it for these gentlemen? So now we'll get into the heart of our program. And friends, please let me introduce Professor Richard Berrong, a student himself of French society and culture. Professor Richard Berrong has been an instructor of the French language at Kent State University for the past 37 years. Prior to the recent pandemic, Richard spent countless hours interviewing over 120 French men and women who lived through the occupation and subsequent liberation of France during World War II. From those interviews, he has produced 3 documentary films and is presently working on a 4th, so future generations can learn from those who survived. Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly welcome Professor Richard M. Berrong.
Thank you, Eric. I am a terrible reader of speeches, and Eric has been kind enough to allow me to record my few words, which they are now going to play for you. You'll hear them a lot better this way than if I did it for 5 minutes. I teach a course on France during World War II. It's fall in 1940, the 4 long years of German occupation, the Allied liberation starting June 6th, 1944, and finally the aftermath of all that. Like many college professors these days, I've been amazed by what some of my students, all of them at least high school graduates, don't know about any of this. A few years ago, when we got to D-Day and then the long struggle that finally resulted in the liberation of France, one of my grad students, a teacher in a high school here in Northeast Ohio, astounded me when she announced that she thought World War II ended the day we arrived on the Normandy beaches, that the Germans just gave up and went home. The two men we are gathered here today to honor know better than that from personal experience. If the French government has chosen to honor them for their contribution to the liberation of France, it's because the French still remember what the Allies did during the long months between our arrival that June 6th and the fall of the last pockets of German occupation almost 12 months later. If some educated Americans, even some who are teaching our children, know little about what happened in France during and after D-Day, still more, unfortunately, are unaware of what the French suffered during the 4 long years of German occupation that preceded it. During the years before the pandemic made returning to France difficult, I traveled there several times a year to interview over 100 French men and women who lived through that occupation. They recounted to me, often at length and deeply moving detail, how the Germans deprived them more and more of even basic necessities. France had weathered the Depression better than we did for a variety of reasons. In 1940, they were a prosperous and well-fed nation. All that began to disappear within just a few months after the arrival of the Germans. Newspapers and radio came under German or collaborationist control, restricting to a great extent information about what was really going on in the war. Nonetheless, many risked severe punishment by listening to French language programs transmitted by the British Broadcasting Corporation, but always with the windows closed and the curtains drawn. Food could only be obtained with ration tickets, but the Germans kept shrinking the amount each person was allowed. Store hours were reduced more and more, but even when they were open, there was often little or nothing left on the shelves. Those who had money could buy more on the black market, but they were only the privileged few. As the Germans ran short of manpower to manage production at home because they sent so many men to fight on the Russian front, they began conscripting hundreds of thousands of Frenchmen to work in their farms and factories, often under terrible conditions. And, of course, they still held prisoner almost 2 million French soldiers whom they had taken prisoner when Marshal Pétain convinced the French government to ask for an armistice. They refused to allow most of these prisoners of war to return home for those 4 long years. There could be no protest against any of this. The French militia and other branches of the collaborationist government worked with the German occupiers to track down and ship off to German prison camps anyone who dared to speak out against them, much less anyone whom they caught trying to gather information for the Allied forces that began building up across the Channel in England. Farmers who dared to harbor fallen Allied aviators could be killed on the spot and their property confiscated. That was daily life in France for the 4 long years of German occupation. That is why so many French men and women risked so much to prepare the way for the Allied forces whose arrival they awaited. That is why they greeted our forces with such joy.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you so much for your insight today. As a soldier in the United States Army, Reed Kimball's military career spanned over 23 years of dedicated and honorable service to our great country. As a commissioned officer following his graduation from Syracuse University in 1973, throughout his military career, he was assigned numerous command and staff positions in air defense artillery, military intelligence, and the infantry. Colonel Kimball is also a veteran of Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. In civilian life, as a teacher and principal, he served his community again at the even more core level, while guiding and educating our children as they navigate the ever-increasing challenges of society. in retirement as the Director of Education at the MAPS Air Museum. Mr. Kimball's background serves the museum's most vital mission, education and awareness. To the countless numbers of school children which pass through those hangar doors, his experience and expertise serves as their guide into this treasure trove of aviation heritage. Ladies and gentlemen, please warmly welcome Colonel Reed Kimball.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to speak before you this morning. I can only hope that my remarks are worthy of this day, of this event, and of our honorees. I do not intend to talk about myself or what I've accomplished in my career as an Army officer. I am simply a small-town boy who wanted to honorably serve my nation and to promote the values that I learned from my father and 3 uncles who served in past conflicts. I would rather talk to you today about what it means to serve one's nation and what veterans have shown us about service and sacrifice. President Franklin D. Roosevelt once wrote, "Those who have long enjoyed such privileges as we enjoy forget in time that men have died to win them." A veteran is someone who understands the responsibility that comes with freedom, and that the cost of those freedoms are often paid for by those that chose to wear a uniform. Our veterans are drawn from several generations and many backgrounds. They are Americans who still serve in the continuing war on terrorism, those that recall the swift conflict of the Persian Gulf War, the long Cold War vigil, the heat of Vietnam, the bitter cold of Korea, and for fewer and fewer of a rapidly vanishing generation, the long march across Europe and the Pacific. For those that have served, what I'm about to say should be all too familiar. For those that have never served, what is a veteran? A veteran is someone, sometimes young, sometimes bent with age, who always seems to stand a little taller when listening to a simple melody called the Star-Spangled Banner, or reciting a pledge to a flag. A veteran stands and salutes a colorful piece of cloth when it passes in a parade, when it is raised or lowered on a flagpole, or folded in a ceremony as a symbol of more than just a nation, but a measure of respect to all that have served and a remembrance of those that have gone before us. A veteran is one who repeatedly finds emotions that they try to keep hidden deep inside when hearing a simple bugle melody called taps, or sheds a tear when they see a flag-draped coffin, because they know what it represents better than most, or gets a lump in their throat when a song or a picture or even a smell brings back memories of far-off battlefields and of comrades that have gone before them. A large and ever-growing portion of our population does not understand what a veteran is and will never know what it is like to be a veteran, a demographic that is still changing. Of those in this nation today who are over the age of 65, 49% are veterans. Looking at those between the ages of 18 and 35, less than 4% of the American population have served or will ever serve in this nation's armed forces. Because of that change, the legacy of the American veteran has been lost to a generation of Americans. Why is this venue so appropriate for this event? You're sitting in a museum that is dedicated to preserving that legacy. We tell their stories so that their service and sacrifice to the American veteran will never be forgotten. They are all here. From a young African-American from Massillon, Ohio, who was awarded the Medal of Honor during the American Civil War, to a young man from Perry Township, Ohio, killed by an improvised explosive device in Iraq. You can view in our collection a piece of the battleship USS Arizona, a ship that still rests in the calm waters of Pearl Harbor, and a display honoring a young Zanesville, Ohio woman who was the only American female combat casualty in the war in Vietnam. We exist to tell of their service and sacrifice because they no longer can. For many veterans, we have reached a time when the torch must be passed to a new generation to carry it. We experience the challenges of either maintaining a fragile peace or of waging war in order to bring back that seemingly elusive peace. We often return victorious, but have also returned to be ridiculed and spit upon by those we have taken an oath to protect. However, as veterans, we share a bond that cannot be broken, a bond that connects us like no other. The camaraderie we share in military service and those that we served with will remain in our hearts and define us until the day we die. We accepted as a sacred duty the task of protecting the freedoms drafted by our founding fathers. Unlike a majority of the population who believe that the freedoms they enjoy are a birthright guaranteed by simply being born in this country, these individuals stepped forward and gave part of their lives to protect those same freedoms. Many gave their all. That is the legacy of the American serviceman and woman, a legacy of service and sacrifice that must be preserved and passed on to future generations before the concepts of duty, honor, and country are forgotten. An American philosopher once wrote, "Those that cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." The danger in not remembering the sacrifices made by the men and women that have earned the right to the title veteran is that we as a nation may forget that the price of freedom is never cheap. To the two veterans we honor today, please allow this one old veteran to thank you for your service and to congratulate on the honor you are receiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Reed, so much. That was beautiful. Thank you. I think it's important to note, I am not a veteran myself, although I am dressed as one. I am wearing today the uniform, the very uniform of my great uncle, Steve Simcoe. He was in the 9th Air Force, 422nd Night Fighter Group. They flew P-61s, a plane very similar to that, but with a forked tail. And as a living historian of his legacy, it is with every bit of gratitude that I have for these gentlemen and those that served after them that I conduct my life. As Director of Ohio Department of Veteran Services, reporting directly to Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, Major General Deborah Ashenhurst oversees and assures Ohio's efforts to providing support and commitment to Ohio's veteran community. Some 10 years ago, she was appointed by then Ohio John Kasich to the Adjutant General of the state of Ohio, where she commanded 17,000 service members of the Ohio National Guard, the Ohio Naval Militia, and the Ohio Military Reserve. Her career culminated by serving as Special Assistant to the Vice Chief, National Guard Bureau in Washington, D.C. Retired from active and National Guard military service, she proudly served for 37 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly welcome Major General Deborah Ashenhurst.
Good morning, and I do bring greetings from my boss, Governor Mike DeWine, who could not be here today. Sends his greetings to all and his special congratulations to Corporal Stitt and Private First Class Giorgio. Congratulations on this recognition you're receiving today. Thank you to Consul General Tagand. Thank you so much for taking your time to do this and to make sure that our rapidly dwindling World War II veterans are getting this recognition that they do so deserve. You know, I'm humbled by the continued appreciation and recognition that our service members get from the citizens of France and by the citizens of France. And I'm tagging a little bit on our two previous speakers. You know, they're in the United States. I don't think we always do appreciate what we consider freedom, liberty. It's assumed we've always had it. It's not really been challenged since the Revolutionary War, maybe a little the War of 1812. We live it every day and don't ever think about what it would be like to have some other country come in and tell us we can't live our life. And they tell us what we can have to eat, or tell us what opportunities we're going to have, or to have to live behind the drawn curtains and sneak in a back room to listen to a radio program. We don't live that life. Yet the citizens of France, their population that lived that life is dwindling, as are our heroes that served at that time. And yet they make sure that legacy is passed from generation to generation, to have an appreciation for what the American service member did for their country so they could regain and retain their liberties, their freedoms, and their way of life. And when you think about that, I mean, we heard the age of the gentlemen that are here today, and they live it proudly, where, you know, we tend to hide our age when you're someone like me, but wear it proudly, because there are so few of you left to recognize and to help us to remember. I need for us to be sure to pass that legacy down, to pass our stories down, so that we aren't forgotten. So the service and the difference that you made for people across not just this nation, but our world, so that we make sure that the younger generations do know, because they haven't served that, they have not lived that life. We need to make sure your legacy is captured. And it's through events like today that we get to do that. When we see how another country recognizes and appreciates and rewards and awards our service members, we need to make sure that we do our small part to not forget that what we've always had isn't assured and is threatened in everyday life in a way that we don't even recognize. So thank you for joining us here today. Thank you for making sure that this legacy of respect and is carried on. I'm thrilled to be part of today's ceremony and recognize these great veterans each time that you all take the time to do this recognition. So thank you so much, and let's get on with this ceremony.
Thank you so much, Major General Ashenhurst. I appreciate your attendance here today, and also further kudos from Governor DeWine. Thank you. Friends, we are all here today to show our love and admiration for Leonard, Giorgio, and Walter Stitt. They are joined here with their family and friends and fellow World War II veterans, and of course, fellow Legion of Honor recipients. If you are a family member of the Mr. Stitt or Mr. Giorgio, please raise your hand. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. It's okay, don't worry about it. To explain, excuse me, just one second. We do this honoring on a personal level. Yet when a whole nation expresses their love and appreciation for those that serve bravely upon their own territory, assuredly it can be a bit overwhelming. To explain that level of love and appreciation, representing the Republic of France as Consul General to the Midwest, Yannick Tagand began his career at the French Ministry for Europe and European Affairs in 2005. In 2007, he was assigned to the Department of North Africa and the Middle East, where his responsibilities included bilateral relations between France and Egypt, as well as France and Jordan. In 2009, he joined the French embassy in Egypt as spokesman and head of the press department. He was then posted to Brussels, Belgium in 2013 to 2017 as counselor for the Near and Middle East as the permanent representation of France to the European Union. Following this assignment, Consul General Tagand was the Deputy Director of Egypt and for the Levant region within the Department of North Africa and the Middle East of the French Ministry for Europe and Foreign Affairs. Mesdames and Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, please kindly provide a warm Ohio welcome to Consul General Yannick Tagand.
Thank you very much. Dear Mr. Giorgio, dear Mr. Stitt, distinguished guests, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored and moved to be here today for this very special tribute to you, Mr. Giorgio and Mr. Stitt. In a few minutes, I will have the immense privilege to present to you, on behalf of the President of the French Republic, my country's highest distinction, the French Legion of Honor. The reasons for which you have been granted this distinction make me feel even more privileged. Mr. Giorgio, Mr. Stitt, this medal and today's ceremony aim at marking France's eternal gratitude and recognition for your outstanding participation in the liberation of my country, France. Many years have passed since both of you left your families and left Ohio for your military training and eventually set sails for Europe, but France has not forgotten. Private First Class Leonard Giorgio. During your service, you participated in 4 major campaigns: Rome-Arno, Southern France, the Rhineland, and Central Europe. You entered active service in May 1943 and were 20 years old when you landed in French North Africa in February 1944 with the 45th Infantry Division. From Oran, Algeria, you departed for Italy, where you joined the headquarters company, 180th Infantry Regiment, as a radioman. You were in charge of running wires from the front lines to the centers of operations. After months of fighting on the Italian front, where your division suffered heavy casualties, you left for your next deployment in southern France. And on August 15, you landed at Sainte-Maxime Beach, which was at the heart of the Allied invasion of Provence, also known as Operation Dragoon. After the surrender of the enemy forces, your division moved quickly to northeastern France to link up with General Patton's Third Army. You remained in this area for several months, participating in combats in the Vosges region, on the Moselle and mountain rivers in Alsace, and finally on the Siegfried Line. You helped liberate many towns and villages, including Épinal, Rambervillers, Tormetzig. On March 17, 1945, your division successfully made the final push into German territory, where it took several cities and liberated the Dachau concentration camp. Private First Class Giorgio, you left Europe in December 1945 and were honorably discharged on January 1st, 1946. Corporal Walter Stitt. During your service, you participated as well in 4 major campaigns: Northern France, the Ardennes, Rhineland, and Central Europe. You entered active service in March 1943 and were just 20 years old as well when you landed at Omaha Beach in July 1944. You were then assigned to the Company E of the 33rd Armored Regiment, 3rd Armored Division, as a tank gunner and loader on M4 Sherman tank. For months, from the French Western Front to Germany and Belgium, you provided invaluable support to various infantry units. And as you progressed to France, you took part in numerous engagements as you were fighting to liberate towns like Meaux, Soissons, or Laon, to name just a few. Corporal Stitt, you have survived many attacks, including the total destruction of 3 of your tanks. You are double Purple Heart recipient for wounds received in combat, first in Germany in September 44, and then in Belgium in January 45. After the last attack, you were evacuated to England, where you spent the remaining of your time. You left then Europe in August 1945 and were honorably discharged in November 1945. Private First Class Giorgio, Corporal Stitt. Thanks to your unfailing determination and bravery, you and your companions have restored hope to millions of people. You are part of the greatest generation, an exceptional generation of men and women, soldiers and civilians, who had put their ideals and ultimately their life to the service of freedom, democracy, and the dignity of humankind. Their remarkable stories of heroism are forever engraved in our common history, and the legacy of this generation still inspires us today. In our efforts to keep our values and freedom alive, and in today's conflicts, we're still learning from them, their selflessness and sense of honor and duty. Mr. Giorgio, Mr. Stitt, for your outstanding service during the war, you have received many distinctions from the United States. But today, France wishes to honor you, as well as the memory of all those who have endured the war and all those soldiers who did not return home. You are true heroes. And I would like to take a moment as well to recognize the veterans who have joined us today and who have also been distinguished by France for their meritorious actions during the Second World War. Thanks to you all, I grew up in a free and prosperous country, in a country that has been living in peace for almost 8 decades, the longest period in its modern history. The French-American friendship has deep and long-lasting roots, deeply anchored here within the Midwest and Ohio. It has crossed many centuries and outlived many political spats. As the French people will never forget that what we owe you and what we owe to all the American people. We will remain loyal to the legacy, the sacrifice, and the values of the heroes who liberated Western Europe. Mr. Giorgio, Mr. Stitt, I could not be more honored to present to you today the Legion of Honor, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. And I will have now to proceed in French. Monsieur Giorgio, au nom du président de la République française, je vous fais chevalier dans l'ordre de la Légion d'honneur. Monsieur Stitt, au nom du président de la République française, je vous fais chevalier dans l'ordre de la Légion d'honneur.
Thank you, Consul General Tagand. And congratulations, men. I can now call you sir. And that's all your family needs to know that too. It's sir from here on out. In celebration of the friendship between the United States and Republic of France, please rise if you are able, as Madame Sophia Foradas will lead us in the singing of the Marseillaise, the French national anthem. Madam Foradas is the wife of Legion of Honor recipient Corporal George Foradas, who hailed from right here in Canton, Ohio.
A los enfants de la patrie, les jours de gloire est arrivé. Contenu de la tyrannie, l'étendard sanglant élevé, l'étendard sanglant élevé. Attendez-vous dans les campagnes, mourir ces forêts, ces soldats. Ils viennent jusque dans vos bras et gardent vos fils, vos compagnies. Aux armes des UAM, formez un bataillon. Marson, marson, qu'une son in pour, en brevet nos sillons. Thank you very much.
I have a few kind words for Madam Foradas. You can now have your kiss. It's not every day I'm with a 90-year-old lady. Thank you, Madam Foradas. You know, just a few weeks ago, and I'm a little off script here, so please bear with me. Just a few weeks ago, when I learned the Consul General was going to be in Cleveland on the 8th and 9th of July, we went into action to have this beautiful ceremony here for Private Giorgio and Corporal Stitt. And it's been a lot of work to put this together in a couple of weeks. And I think we would all agree that it's been a beautiful ceremony thus far. And thank you. And once again, it was George Foradas, and through his son James, who he and I collaborated together on his application for the French Legion of Honor. And Jim is a real student of history and certainly loves his dad. There's no doubt about that. And I called them to invite them to come to this program. And I asked Jim if he knew anyone that could sing the La Marseillaise. And when Sophia heard me ask him that question, she immediately belted out the lyrics. And I said, that's my girl. So thank you, Sophia. Regrettably, United States Senators from Ohio, Sherrod Brown or Rob Portman, could be here with us today. Yet both gentlemen, on behalf of their office and the great citizens of Ohio, which they represent, send their best regards to Chevalier Giorgio and Chevalier Stitt. At this time, I would like to ask Ms. Tammy Puff, Veteran Liaison for Governor DeWine, to come forward and present the documents received from Senator Brown and Portman, congratulating them today on receiving their medals, as well as their service from the grateful people of the state of Ohio. Tammy? Thank you. On behalf of Congressman Anthony Gonzalez, representing Ohio's 16th Congressional District, proclamations honoring both Chevalier Giorgio and Chevalier Stitt. On behalf of Congressman Warren Davidson, representing Ohio's 8th Congressional District, a proclamation honoring Chevalier Stitt. Okay, state citations. To Chevalier Giorgio, on behalf of Representative Sharon Ray, Ohio House District 69, and on behalf of Senator Mark Romanchek of Ohio Senate District 22, further honors from his state legislators. To Chevalier Stitt, on behalf of Bill Dean, Ohio House District 74, and on behalf of Senator Bob D. Hackett, Ohio State Senate, further honors from his state legislators. Congratulations, gentlemen, from the documents that you received from your elected leadership. And from the state of Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. Once again, please allow me to call upon Major General Ashenhurst as she will make a set of presentations on behalf of Governor Mike DeWine to Chevaliers Giorgio and Stitt.
You know, I work for a man who has great respect and honor for our veterans. His father served, and we just found his grandfather's records in our archives in our office this week, who served in World War I. So he understands the sacrifices made by a service member and also the families. So I'm really proud to present these on his behalf.
When I look upon these men and the so many World War II veterans I have met over the years, hundreds, what shines through beyond their stories of duty and honor is the word pride. Pride is reflective in their smile, the firmness of their grip, and the air of confidence that surrounds them. At the end of the Second World War, General Douglas MacArthur made reference as well to the calm, deliberate, and determined fighting spirit each soldier, sailor, and airman embraced as they fought their way towards victory. Emboldened with those characteristics, forged in the crucible of war, through advancements in technology and science, that generation, which we call in our time the greatest generation, applied both triumphs and tragedies to the cause of the greater good for all mankind, friend and foe alike. They built the world of our times from the sales room to the pulpit, which nourished our ever-growing nation, needless to say, the world. I truly believe, gentlemen, that everyone in this room values their liberty and freedom preserved by your heroism. And for that, I thank you. We all thank you. So at this time, I would like to ask the color guard team from the American Legion Post 221 to return to the stage and retire the colors. And friends, please, if you are able, as they depart, this will conclude our program this afternoon. I want to thank all of you again for honoring these brave men and those in the audience with your attention and attendance today. Gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do have coffee and water right by the BT-13, which is the yellow and blue airplane. There's also some cookies. Thank you for attending.
Step aside, partner, it's my day. Bend an ear and listen to my version. Really solid Tennessee extension. Pardon me, boy, is that the Chattanooga choo-choo? Yes, yes, track 29. Boy, you can give me a shine. Can you afford to board Chattanooga choo-choo? I've got my fare and just a trifle to spare. You leave the Pennsylvania station about 3:45. Read a magazine and then you're in Baltimore.
Dinner in the diner, nothing
finer than to have your ham and eggs in Carolina. When you hear the whistle blowing 8 to the bar, then you'll know that Tennessee is not very far.
Shovel all the coal in, gotta keep it rolling.
Woo woo, Chattanooga, there you are. There's gonna be a certain party at the station